Tennis Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Fantasy. Sign up with the code SGPN. Give your son opponents up to $1,000. It's about the Edge Boost. It's $70 per month in sports gambling transactions. Get Edge Boost that bet. Promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm, the leader in data-driven picks and props. They're also having a great party. Go to sportsgambling.com/party for details. And they're also giving away $250 future. So once again, if you want to get in on the action, don't forget to get into the future giveaway. And also don't forget to sign up for the party. We're going to sportsgambling.com/party for details. And welcome, everybody, to the Tennis Game Podcast here on the Sports Game Podcast Network. It is currently Thursday night, roughly 10 p.m. Eastern Time on February 27th. I'm your host, always, Scott Reichel, once again going solo for this pod. Time to get into the semis in Dubai. So we're going to preview the two matchups taking place on Friday. For that, though, I do want to recap what happened last episode for the lock and dog picks and for the Thursday matches in the quarterfinals. Starting off with the overall lock and dog picks, a decent episode. We had a great episode in terms of the actual predictions for the match. Before the lock and dog had to settle for a split. Won the lock, we had Hal's money line at -120. As sweaty as it could possibly have been, but either way, still got the job done as it went to a final set breaker. I believe each of the first 11 points in the breaker were held on serve. And then eventually Hal's to get the mini break to win the match. He had 6 break points in the third set, failed all of them, and ended up eventually finding a way to get by in the breaker. Not easy, no-showed the first set, and then actually went down a break early in the second. Then he remembered how to play tennis, and he was able to get back and win. But either way, point is definitely not easy, but still a win nonetheless. Nice win there for the lock. For the dog, picked up a loss there. Had Felix and Cilic over half a tiebreak at +120. In hindsight, should have just taken the over in sets, but still like the value at +120 when I found a -100. I found like a -105 in other spots. So I like the price differential. Unfortunately, though, it didn't matter. As it went 3, but unfortunately, there were a decent amount of breaks, at least more than I thought, and eventually ended up seeing Felix win in 3, but really never threatened for a breaker. So either way, picked up a loss there for the dog. Now, for the actual match recaps, though, we got a lot of things right in the Thursday card. So starting off with the actual, I'd say, general theme of the Dubai quarters, a ton of marathon matches. In fact, all 4 of the matches went to a deciding set. So getting into the actual predictions, we like Cilic to keep the match close. He ended up pushing actually for the spread of 3, but we like the over. We thought Cilic would win a set. Thought Felix would win, but we did think it was going to be a 3-setter. So we called that right to a T. For the Hal's match, thought that one would potentially be competitive, but we did like Hal's money line at -120. That got there barely as he won 7-5 in the final set breaker. We thought Medvedev was going to win comfortably, so we got that one wrong. I'll mention that match in greater detail in a second because we're happy to have been wrong on that one. For the last match, though, we did like Tsitsipas to win a marathon against Berrettini. He's been great in the head-to-head. Thought a good price at around +140, and he got there as he did win in 3 sets. So once again, we ended up getting 3 of the 4 matches right, and the one we got wrong, we can live with because we hit a pretty massive future. We had Griekspoor to win the first quarter at +900, and he got there. Definitely not easy. Thought he was going to lose pretty convincingly after that first set. He was down a set and a break. Fought off a couple match points, actually, in that second set. Came back, and he eventually did win in a third set marathon, which ended 7-5. Crazy match. Griekspoor, though, came to the net. Ended up, I'd say, honing in the overall volley game because he was struggling with that earlier. And eventually he was able to come forward and he was able to put away points quickly enough to avoid the, I'd say, marathon points that Medvedev likes. Saw a couple of those too, don't get me wrong, but Griekspoor did enough to get the job done. Very fun match, probably the best match of the day out of those 4. You could argue the Hal's and Nardi match was closer because you had the final set breaker element, but the first set was really bad in that match where Hal's just couldn't keep the ball in play. Second set wasn't that great either. Felt like the Medvedev match after the first set was just absolute drama. Once again, Griekspoor fought off multiple match points, and he came back and won. But Dubai was a mess for us for outrights, but we did get one, which kind of canceled out all the bad stuff because Griekspoor at 9-1 to win the quarter definitely helped. So hopefully ended up cashing on that. I think the live money line of Griekspoor was like 20-1 at some point in the second set. But either way, point is a nice win there for the quarter. So can't complain too much. We ended up getting one overall match prediction wrong as we picked Medvedev to win in straight sets. Happy to be wrong, though, because we cashed a +900 play in the outright episode. Now, do want to point out, though, some stuff happening in the other actual events going on. Now, for starters, I know that you have a couple matches going on in Acapulco as Shapovalov is taking on Giron right now. However, do want to touch upon some of the outrights we had in Acapulco that actually had a pretty rough beat because we lost a couple of players yesterday for the outrights to win the event, and they didn't even play. So to go into detail there, for the outrights in Acapulco, we have three choices. We have Paul at 550, Chapo at 10-1, and we have Rude at 11-1. So Paul and Rude both won their first matches convincingly. They were both able to dominate, and then they both ended up quitting from the event because of potential food poisoning. So you ended up seeing Paul, Rude, and Rune all drop out in the same day. Rune actually saw the court for 3 games and then quit. But apparently, the food in Mexico, or at least the catering provided by the event, has been basically rancid, and a bunch of people got sick. And as a result, Rude, Paul, and Rune all quit the tournament. So that was definitely, I'd say, unfortunate to see, especially if you bought tickets to the event, because you saw 3 matches end prematurely because, once again, you had a couple of guys getting sick. Now, it is a little bit interesting because I don't know the details behind the actual catering at the event in Acapulco. I know some events have a cafeteria, some events don't. You could argue that maybe there's a local restaurant attached to like the hotel, and maybe they all went there. But the point is, it's not exactly a good look for your actual tournament when 3 guys after the first round, 3 well-known players in Paul, Rude, and Rune, all get food poisoning in the span of about 12 hours, and they all quit the tournament. So definitely something that's a little bit bizarre in Acapulco, but it hurt us because we lost 2 outrights for it. So nothing we could do about that. We had guys that were in good form, and unfortunately 2 of them ended up having bad food and had to quit. So the one guy we got left is Chapo. We'll see how that goes. For Santiago, we also had some crazy matches today, like the matches in Dubai. All 4 matches in Santiago went to a deciding set. So Aldezumer upset Navone, as he got the job done there in 3. So Baez won a marathon against Comasanya. I'll tell you what, I like Comasanya. Guy's good. I feel like he's mispriced a lot. Guy's really talented. But Baez got the job done as he continues his Santiago title defense. Saw Montero lose to Carbelli. Nice job by Carabelli, who's made a pretty good name for himself over the last couple weeks. And Coria was able to beat Tabilo in a 3-set thriller. So all the Chileans were really bad so far in the event. I believe none of them won a match. Green actually might have won 1 in the first round. Then he lost. Jari lost immediately. And you ended up seeing, once again, Tabilo lose immediately. So not a great tournament for the Chileans, but either way, a couple of really competitive matches. Baez Comasanya had the final set breaker. All the matches were good. So once again, if you were looking at those 2 events, I know Acapulco's going on right now, but the main matches during the day, you had 8 tennis matches on, and none of the 8 ended in straight sets, which is really nuts. But that's a phenomenal day of drama-filled tennis, and hopefully we get some drama once again here in the matches on Friday. Now, for the updated schedule, by the way, for the pod, we are going to be doing the semis here in Dubai for this episode. Think we are going to do Acapulco for the next episode, since the matches are starting to start later. We're in the semis already. I will be going through Acapulco tomorrow, probably around noon, give or take. But once we get lines out, I'll be doing a semifinal episode earlier in the day. Then we'll do Dubai for the final later on that same day. So keep an eye out for multiple episodes that should be coming out on Friday. But anyway, time to get into the actual breakdown of the semifinal matches here in Dubai. For that, though, I want to remember once again that you can't support for the show by subscribing, YouTube reminder. You can also leave a rating and review on Spotify or Apple. So I believe the subscribers have jumped like 20 and change over the last week. So if you are new to the show, welcome. Hopefully you enjoy it. But once again, you can leave some support by liking the video, subscribing to the channel. And also, if you're listening to the podcast audio only, that's fine too. It's available on Spotify or Apple. Don't forget to leave a rating and a review to help the show grow. Plus, a reminder to check out the merch store on the SGPN website. We have a lot of great tennis podcast merch with sweatshirts, t-shirts, and mugs, different qualities, different colors, high quality and also affordable. Recommend getting yourself something. And a reminder, we have a great promo with the merch store right now. As if you end up using the code MADNESS at checkout, 20% off anything in the SGPN store. So get in now before the promo code is done. A reminder, if you want some Tennis Game Podcast merch, use the code MADNESS at checkout for 20% off. We're also brought to you by our sponsor on the show. We're brought to you by EdgeBoost, because EdgeBoost is the premier Visa debit card for bettors. An EdgeBoost card allows the ability to avoid being hassled by having your card denied. So that'll not happen with this card at the sportsbook, DFS site. You have the sweepstakes site, racetrack, and casino. You can also earn cashback rewards, $750 per month in cashback rewards by using the EdgeBoost card. Your money is also safe, as the card is FDIC insured. And a reminder, there are no credit checks, completely free as well. Sign up today, though, with the code SGPN to get better cashback rewards and instant status. So instant tier 2 status and cashback rewards when you use the promo code SGPN when you sign up for it. And a reminder, that's edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN, edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. We're also brought by MyBookie. MyBookie is the place to bet in every sport. They have props in every game. They have auto casino. They also accept customers to a ton of locations. You can easily deposit and get payouts very quickly with crypto. And a reminder, you can also head to mybookie.ag with the promo code SGPN, so you get 100% deposit match up to $1,000 and a $10 casino chip. MyBookie.ag, promo code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Game Podcast. Finish recapping what happened in the matches on Thursday. Time to move on into the preview for the Friday semifinal matches in Dubai. So we're going to get into those two matches, starting off with the first match, which will be between Felix and Halys. Now, Halys is the main shocker, I'd say, in this tournament so far, as he went to qualifying, and now he's in the semis of a 500 event. So we'll see how he looks in this one. Now, for the money line, Felix is expected to kill him. He's minus 325. You have Halys at plus 270. For the spread, minus 3 for Felix, plus 3 for Halys. The over-under set at 22.5. For the set spread, you have Felix in straight sets at minus 115. You have Halys to win a set at minus 115. And the over 2.5 sets is plus 160. Faced off, actually, recently, as they faced off in a meeting back in Doha, so about a week and a half ago. And Felix did win that one in 3. Lost the first set, came back, and he eventually did win. Now, Halys has been playing good tennis. I said before he went through qualifying, as he was able to beat the likes of Uchiyama and Kotov in straight sets. Beat Rublev in a 3-set marathon there. Ended up beating Agut in the next round. Ended up beating Nardi in a 3-set marathon as well with a final set breaker. So Halys has played well. I want to point out, though, the unforced error count is going to be the main concern for Halys because he has a lot of firepower. Serve was very good down the stretch, especially in the third set and the breaker. So that's really going to be the story of the matchup. If Halys can hit his spots and if he can actually unload on the serve and the forehand, he can maybe pull this off. The problem is Felix, I think, has looked like the better player, objectively speaking, watching these matches. Now, Felix has been dropping sets left and right. Felix has dropped a set in every round so far in the event. But I think if you're asking me right now who has looked better based on the eye test, I would tell you Felix. And then beating Chilton 3 sets, beat Borders in 3, and beat Bublik in 3. But Felix, we know, has won 2 titles this year. He's been one of the best players on tour this entire season. And Halys in the biggest match, arguably, of his career. So you have to question if Halys will be feeling the nerves. He also was wincing a bit as the match went on against Nardi. Once again, a really, really drama-filled and emotional win for Halys, and also exhausting in the process. So I think Felix's match, even though it also went 3 sets, was shorter based on duration because a lot of, I'd say, lopsided sets there against Cilic. So for this matchup, Halys was limping a little bit. He got off to a slow start out of the gates against Nardi, then turned it around. I think Felix, though, is the better player, and I question if Halys will be able to keep the nerves under control in the semis of a 500 event in the first set in particular. I don't think so. I think Felix hit the ground running. He's played well in the first set recently. Felix won the first set against Cilic yesterday, won the first set today, won the first against Bublik as well. I think he's in a pretty good spot to, I'd say, beat up on what could be a slightly overwhelmed opponent here, who went through qualifying all the way to a 500 event. So I think for the actual matchup here, it's tough to fully find value because people have been dropping sets left and right. So it's really tough for me to blindly say, give me Felix in straight sets when he's dropped a set in every round. So I feel like if you want to go for the over, I don't mind it. I think Felix will probably win the first set and the match, but that's minus 175. So it's pretty tough to find value. I would go with the over. Felix team total, though, is at 13. I was hoping for 12.5. I couldn't find the 12.5. So 13's at minus 105. I don't mind that. You might end up getting a breaker in there, but I think 22.5 games on the over might be worth a look. And maybe Felix first set spread, minus 1.5 games, minus 120. But I think Felix wins the match. If you want to try to find some creative ways to back him, you can. I'll mention a creative way. I'm going to back him in the lock and dog segment, but I do think for this matchup, I am going to go with Felix to win. Minus 115 to win in straight sets when he's dropped a set in 4 straight matches. Not really interested in that price, so I'll go elsewhere. I think Halys can keep it close, but I do have some concerns about the stamina and potential durability after he was looking pretty spent mentally and physically over the course of that marathon against Nardi. Plus, I mentioned this before. I know Nardi played well in the event. I don't think Nardi's that good, and Halys being pushed to the brink against Nardi doesn't really instill much confidence for me. Yes, I understand that Halys won us money, and I respect that as he cashed the lock, but I don't think Nardi's that good. And I feel like Halys, I thought, would beat him more convincingly, and he didn't. So now he has a better opponent on deck. Agut, I've said before, is washed. Nardi, I'm not a big fan of, despite his good form in the event. So I feel like he's had a pretty decent draw after Rublev, and Rublev was off a title, and we know that there is a bit of a champagne fade there when you fade guys fresh off a title win. Saw that in a couple of events earlier this year already. So for that one, I think that Hallis will eventually run out of gas. I'm going to go with Felix, get the job done in this one. In what could be straight sets, but I am going to go with the over in games, but I prefer a play I'll mention later on in the show. I see a couple people in the comments section. John saying that he's concerned about the stamina for Hallis. I think I agree there. I think that Felix can definitely take him to deep waters. If it goes 3, I like Felix's chances to wear him down, and I think that Hallis will eventually feel the effects of having that marathon against Nardi in the match on Thursday. John asked if I think Felix is going to win the entire tournament. I'll put it this way. If it's him against Tsitsipas, I would probably go Felix. I'll reevaluate depending on how they look in the matches on Friday. It's tough to go against him right now. It's kind of crazy because Felix is the guy that we've roasted on the show for years. But when you've won 2 titles in the calendar year already, once again, we're not even a full 2 months into 2025. Felix has 2 titles, made a semi last week, lost to Rublev in a marathon, and now he's in the semis of 500 again. He has been one of the hottest players on tour. So it's tough to go against him. I think Felix is a guy that's worth backing right now. And even though he can make it, I could say, a sweat, and he can be finding some moments in matches where he has a slip up, more often than not, he's righted the ship and he's found ways to win. And that's something I've been waiting to see from Felix for a while. He had a run a couple years ago in like Basel and Paris at the end of a calendar year. I think that was like 2-3 years ago, where he won a couple titles. But for the most part, he's been up and down. So far this year, it's been all up. So I feel like Felix is a guy that I would be picking if I had to pick somebody to win the event right now. I would probably go with him based on form so far this year. I see Tubbs mentioning that I helped him make about $3K today in tennis bets. So once again, thank you for enjoying the content. And hopefully some of you also made money. Doesn't have to be $3K. If you ended up making like $10, still counts. Once again, I don't unit shame on the show, but I'm glad to help you out if you ended up making some 3K on Thursday. So once again, happy to help out there. Uneducated stopping by, welcome back. Nice to see you. I know you're always here on the live stream, but either way, welcome to all of you in the comment section. A reminder that it is a live stream, so if you are listening to the podcast, don't be shy. You can jump into the live stream section. I'll read the comments live. No big deal there. Anyway, moving on to the late match. You have a matchup between Tsitsipas and Griekspoor. For this one, Tsitsipas minus 154. Griekspoor is around plus 134. For the spread, minus 2 for Tsitsipas, plus 2 for Griekspoor. For the over-under in games, you have 24.5 or 23.5. For the set spread, Griekspoor to win a set is Griekspoor to win a set is minus 180. Tsitsipas to win in straight sets is plus 150. The over 2.5 sets is around plus 130. Greg telling me that he made $10. That counts. What is that, like 5 Powerball tickets? You know, if you had one of those 5 Powerball tickets, you suddenly turn that $10 into like $300 million. So there you go. Now you're playing the Powerball for free. A life hack there. Anyway, I see Leonard mentioning that Felix is around plus 300. It's a good price. I mean, I feel like for a guy who's won 2 titles this season already, and for everyone that's already lost as the top seeds, 3-1's a pretty good price. So there you go. We'll see what happens, but hopefully end up cashing that outright. Anyway, for the matchup here, actually a bit similar to the Felix match against Hallis. Deja vu, because they faced off in Rotterdam earlier this year, and you saw Tsitsipas win a marathon as he won 6-7, 7-6, 7-5. So he was able to win in Griekspoor's backyard in a very competitive and fun match. Now, Tsitsipas has played well, ended up beating Sonego in straight sets in the first round, beat Khachanov in 3, and beat Berrettini in 3. Seems like the pattern here for Tsitsipas is he'll win the first set in a breaker, which he's done in every round. Then he'll basically punt the second set, and then he'll win the third set because he's gotten buried in the second set in the last 2 rounds, but it hasn't mattered because he's bounced back and he's won the third set 6-4. So he's been playing well so far in this event. Griekspoor, though, has had a crazy ride, had a really tough spot against Sefulin in the first round, came back and he won. As he won 5-7, 7-6, 7-6, was down. I forgot if it was a couple match points or he was just down a couple break points there. I think it was match points, actually, in that second set against Sefulin. Let me pull that up quickly. In that second set, he was down 3 match points. He was down above 40 in the 4-5 game. Came back and he won. So in 2 of the 3 matches in this event, Griekspoor's fought off multiple match points and come back to win. So the point is, even though both guys have been involved in a couple of 3-set marathons, every match that Griekspoor's been in has been a marathon. 2 of them involved fighting off multiple match points, and he's off of a massive marathon emotional win, arguably the biggest match of his career, biggest win of his career against Medvedev in the quarters there on Thursday. He was physically spent, rightfully so. That final game took like 10, 15 minutes. It was wild to witness. Either way, though, nice win for Griekspoor. Cashed us a 9-1 play, so I respect it. Now, the problem is, do I think he'll be able to physically turn it around and get the job done here against a guy in good form like Tsitsipas? In my opinion, no. Will it be easy for Tsitsipas? Probably not, because he never makes it easy. But Tsitsipas, I think, has played well. And Griekspoor, I do think, will have some moments here. Both guys want to end points quickly, so I think it will result in a lot of holds. But I think that Tsitsipas is, in my opinion, in a better spot to win this because his match that he ended up winning against Berrettini wasn't as grueling. It was tough, but by time comparison, his match against Berrettini was 1 hour and 57, and Griekspoor's match against Medvedev yesterday. So once again, 1 hour 57. The match against Medvedev took a casual 2:36. So I do think that Tsitsipas is going to wear him down eventually over the course of this match. I think you're looking at what should be a competitive one. Maybe it goes 3 at plus 130. I don't mind it. Check Caesars for the best price usually for that market. But I think you're looking at Tsitsipas eventually winning this match. Griekspoor off of an emotional win, off of a serious comeback, down multiple match points, and even a break in the second set. He was down 4-1 in the breaker. It was a Houdini escape act by Griekspoor. I think the luck runs out here. I see a pretty similar script to what we saw in Rotterdam. Give me Tsitsipas to win a competitive matchup, as we ended up seeing, I think, in my opinion, Felix against Tsitsipas in the final. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for the preview of the semifinal matches in Dubai. Now it's time for the Lock and Dog picks. For that, remember once again that we are brought to you by Rhythm, because Rhythm's having an epic March Madness party. I'll be there, by the way, in Las Vegas. You're all invited. All the users are invited to the first 4 watch party, Wednesday, March 19th at the Awesome Circus Swim at Circle Las Vegas. I will be there if you want to see me in person. Free drinks. That's the main reason why I'm going. Just kidding. Plus, you get to hang out with the guys from Sports Camp Podcast and College Experience. It also gets better. Rhythm's having a giveaway. Earn a $250 March Madness future for free for one lucky Rhythm user. Even if you can't make the party, you can still be entered into the giveaway, and you can still win the future bet. So if you cannot get away to Las Vegas, you can still be entered into the giveaway, so no pressure there. But once again, it would be fun if you're able to go for free drinks. Did I mention free drinks, by the way? So keep that in mind. Sign up, though, for your 7-day free trial at sportscom.com/rhythm. And a reminder, you can also come back and use Rhythm to help you fill out your bracket, make some bets while you're there, and a free party, plus a chance at a $250 future bet. Go to sportscom.com/party for details, sportscom.com/party for details. Also by Underdog Fantasy. A reminder that they have a great Underdog Pick'em. You can use a bunch of different sports for your entry: NBA, NHL, college basketball, tennis, etc. Underdog also has a great Luka discount for every Lakers game for the rest of the season, so get in on the action there. Football diehards, they have pick-em projections for select players, 40-yard dash times for the combine. A reminder, when you sign up for your new account, use the promo code SGPN. Go to special making first time deposit offer to 1K more cash on fancy promo code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Game Podcast. We're breaking down the semifinal matches in Dubai for Friday. Now it's time for the Lock and Dog picks. Pretty interesting overlap for the actual Lock and Dog, because I have the same premise for both matches. For the lock, I am going to go to the last match between Tsitsipas and Griekspoor. I am going to go Tsitsipas to win the first set and the match at -105. Same price on FanDuel and DraftKings. So once again, it doesn't really matter where you end up getting it. Same price available. Now, you're looking at Tsitsipas. He's been good in the first set so far in the event. Now, it did go to a breaker all 3 times, but Tsitsipas is 3-0 in the first set in this event. So he's been a very fast starter. Griekspoor, though, not so much, including the last event. He's lost the first set in 4 straight. So you have seen Griekspoor get off to a slow start. He's been able to escape and come back, but I think that Tsitsipas should be able to get the job done in the first set. And I do think eventually Griekspoor will be feeling the effects of the long rallies and the emotional win against Medvedev on Thursday. No day off in between. See a bad spot for Griekspoor. But for the head-to-head, Tsitsipas is also 2-0 head-to-head in the hard court. Beat him in Doha a couple weeks ago in 3 sets. I see a similar story here, but based on the price of -105, don't want to lay -150 and change with Tsitsipas. So I feel like backing a guy who's won the first set in all 3 matches here, fading a guy that's lost the first set in 4 straight matches. I think it's a good way to reduce the juice here for Tsitsipas. Give me Tsitsipas to win the first set and the match at -105 as the lock. For the dog, same script as the Tsitsipas play, but I am going to take a slight deviation from it. Now, once again, first set and full match win for Felix was -175. However, if you take the Felix first set spread, with Felix moneyline in a same-game parlay on DraftKings, you can get plus 104. You can be Felix first set minus 1.5 games, plus Felix full match money line, and that pays out a plus 104 as my dog. So Hales has really not been that great in the first set in this event. He's dropped the first set by multiple games in 2 of the last 3 matches, got killed by Nardi in the first set on Thursday. Think maybe emotionally he'll be spent, physically might be exhausted too, but I think it's going to be a pretty nervous encounter for him. One of the bigger matches of his career in the semis of a 500 event. Felix, we know, has won 2 titles this season. He's been in good form. I think Felix will start off fast in this one. Plus, he's 2-0 in the head-to-head on hardcore, faced off a couple days ago, or about a week and a half ago, in Doha as well. Now, Hales did win the first set and then lost in 3. I think, though, Felix is going to win. Felix is minus 325. Trying to find ways to reduce juice there. I think it's a good way to get reduced juice by taking Felix to win the first set by margin and the match of plus 104. So I'm going to go with that approach, trying to, once again, find some plus money on Felix, who I think should win the match against Hales, and I think that's a good way to get some value for that match. So once again, the plays here for the lock and dog for Dubai in the semis. For the lock, I'm going to go Tsitsipas to win the first set and the match at minus 105. For the dog, give me a similar play, but I'm going to go with the spread instead. Give me Felix first set spread, minus 1.5 games, and Felix money line in the match at plus 104. Like once again, for the afternoon, I'd say time slot on Friday for Acapulco. In the semis, back once again after that for the semis in or for the final, in Dubai. So next time, find me on Twitter, Reichel Radio. Find me on the NBA show. Find me on the MLB show. And a reminder, you can also support the show by like, subscribe, and YouTube reminder. You'll see a rating and review on Spotify or Apple. So whether you're listening to the podcast on YouTube or whether you're listening to it on Spotify or Apple, please leave some feedback. Please subscribe and like the actual channel to help the show grow. We got to 800 by the end of the month. I think we're now at like 820. Going to aim for 900 by the end of March. So if we can help us grow. Want to get to 1,000 though by, I'd say, May. I said that's the goal. Start of May, try to get to 1,000. But either way, thank you for helping the show grow so far. And until next time, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.